I am Hercules.
Hello, everyone. You have struck Hercules and podcasting gold. Let's hope. Hello, it's Bat Minute again. We're back with our first hiatus episode of the post-Batman and Robin season.
Woo.
I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
I am your other host, John Parker, and, I have been told to watch my talk. But you know what? I can hear my talk. I cannot watch it.
That was a line I wrote down. I was just like, good comeback. That's it. Not even joking. It's like, that's a good comeback. Like, I gotta give it to him.
Pretty good.
Yeah. But, yes, well, today we're here to talk specifically about the beginning of a legend. The legendary career of one Arnold Schwarzenegger in his first ever screen appearance. And you would never be able to tell. We're here to talk about Hercules in New York. And joining us on this damn-fooled crusade is returning guests, Omar Najam.
Hello, everyone. I thought you were going to go Dael first. Hello, everyone.
Hey, we like to mix it up.
Wow.
They're saving the best for last.
Well, also because we have someone, for this being to do with mythology, we do have someone somewhat of an expert in mythology. So, of course, we have resident myth slinger Dael Kingsmill.
Yeah, brought in the big guns because we're going to need them.
And I'm sure you have absolutely no problems with this movie and its portrayal of the characters. Yeah.
Flawless.
Oh, I mean, might as well just jump in.
Well, Niall, you mentioned that it was Arnold's first, on-screen role. And how do I say this? I actually think it's fascinating curio in that we get to experience the true Arnold physique.
Yeah,
because in other movies he slims down.
That's true. Which is wild to think. It's wild to look at heyday Arnold Schwarzenegger and go, what a scrawny man.
That's him cutting weight. Like, he was like stressing out about that. Like, oh God, I'm going to look terrible on film.
It's actually he's 22 in this film. He was like biologically 22 years
He's so
old.
little. Yeah, not spiritually.
Well, that's the thing. He's one of those kind of guys who, if you told me he's 22, I'm like, okay. If you told me he's 42, okay.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I don't know. He's got such a baby face in this movie, though.
But he's got like an aura.
I'm just curious at what point Arnie becomes Arnie. Because, you imagine, when he was, was he this buff when he was, 16? When did he go from being normal physique to,
He's
now
pretty tall,
though,
guy. Right? He's pretty tall, though, right? And you can't build the muscles too early or it stunts your growth, is what we were taught in, 8th grade health class.
Wow. I was not aware of that as a rule.
I don't know if it's true, but there were cautionary tales.
I can answer your question, Niall. If you we'll post this to the listeners. Look in the chat in the Zoom. That is a picture of Arnold at 16.
Oh, here we go. All right, we're gonna get a little answer. Okay.
Oh, okay. So
posing at the sock hop.
I like the band in the background.
Yeah.
It's bring
we
this
don't
back.
have enough of these anymore.
Bring back this aesthetic of
this poor guitarist. This poor guitarist looking at him like, oh, okay.
I like to think that backing band was playing the theme music of Hercules in New York.
Oh,
the entire time.
They really have to compensate for the lack of mandolin in the band for that soundtrack. But
and the theme music that plays for 90% of the movie.
Yep.
So good. And then you get a sinister twist when Pluto arrives in New York. I mean, I'm jumping ahead, I know, but
how dare you?
Saying.
How very dare you?
It's obviously inevitable.
So what I really liked about the music was that it reminded me a bit of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
And then I was going down the mental rabbit hole, why isn't Arnold Schwarzenegger ever been in Curb Your Enthusiasm? That's a match made in heaven. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Larry David. Oh and then I was like, why isn't just Arnie have his own Kirby, his version of Curb, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger going around California as the ex-governor, just trying to deal with people and stuff.
Whenever Curb Your Enthusiasm comes up now, all I can think about is that guy who was falsely accused of murder and was only saved because he was in the background of a recording for Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah.
Ah.
Oh.
Poor guy.
And so I can imagine like someone in like the prosecution attorney's face when he found out about this, and then just hearing the bump bump bump, cameras focusing on his face.
I was genuinely going to learn the main theme from this film on mandolin because I have a mandolin, and as the film progressed, I was like, I can't listen to it again. I really, for the bit, I was like, how amazing on the podcast would it be if I just like busted it out and played it?
Whipped
and I
out your mandolin.
A little jingle, but I was like, I need a week in between.
I need a decade before I want to hear it again.
This is a movie that like once it finds a thing, it drives the thing into the ground over and over.
Because you know what? Because okay, let me just paint you a picture of my trajectory in viewing this film. It started out, and I like cradled my head in my hands and thought over and over again, I can't believe you've made me watch this. and then you hit that opening credit sequence, and the music started playing, and I went, you know what? Maybe this won't be hell. Yeah. And then the movie started back again, and I was like, oh, I can't believe you made me watch this. And then, of course, when Pluto showed up, everything was okay again.
And then when the credits rolled,
everything
you were like,
was beautiful
thank
and
God
nothing
they
hurt.
made me watch it. Yeah.
I think it was a weird scenario of like, I'm surprised it took so late in the day to come up with this as a concept for a hiatus episode. I think I randomly commented on one of your tweets, Dael, of that image of Arnie running. Like,
and I didn't know what it was from. Yeah.
And I was like, how could someone who's all into Hercules not know what this is? And I was just like, oh my God, now here's an idea.
Probably because it has so little to
masochist.
do with Hercules.
Yeah.
We should actually probably at least introduce the basic of the story. That it starts off, Hercules is bored.
Yeah.
Bored. He wants to see the Earth like Mars does all the time. And he comes out with one of my favourite deliveries in the history of cinema. And I'm going to try and replicate it, but I won't do it as well. He goes, I am tired of the same old faces, the same old things.
I have to say, it's like the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger went on to be like the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
And this is his first foray into acting. Like his agent hornswoggled the producers by saying Arnie had lots of stage experience. And they assumed they meant theater, but it was actually bodybuilding competition stages.
It wasn't a lie.
Yeah, but technically it's not, it's circumventing the truth.
We saw him at the sock hop.
Exactly.
That's true.
But it's the fact that Arnold wanted to get into acting, and then this was his first performance. It's like, how did this guy ever get any job ever again in front of a camera?
Isn't that what they asked the director? Didn't someone ask him once, like, oh, are you surprised that Arnold went on to act again? And he's like, oh, yes, very.
Yeah, as he should be. It's like Arnold seems as if he's been shot up with Novocaine the whole movie. He is not even attempting to act in this thing.
No. Here's the thing. This movie has made me truly admire Arnold Schwarzenegger's career as an actor, because I've been on record on this very podcast defending his performances. I think that he often actually brings it. But it is wild going back and watching this one where he clearly has, I get energy of like, he's clueless about the production process. He's struggling with the acting and also possibly with his English. And so that's a lot to be fighting against. And it is dreadful. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely dreadful. But to see that from there, he went on to actually act in stuff. And it may not be, like the most like stellar, deep, heart-wrenching performances we've ever seen from an actor. But to see that path actually makes me a little bit inspired. I'm not even going to lie about it. And you know what? He wasn't the worst person in this movie.
No, bizarrely. Really? No. There's worse people.
It is actually quite aspirational, though. The fact that if you look at this guy, look at this performance. This guy went on to be the biggest movie star in the world. Like, this is how you do that.
And you know what?
It's a real crazy juxtaposition to us in particular because we spent so long covering Batman and Robin, where he's supposed to play a cold, emotionless, detached character, and he's swinging for the fences, going crazy over the top of his acting in that one. And it's kind of like maybe if he had invested the role with a little more Hercules in New York, it might have been a truer version of Mr. Freeze.
No, Mr. Freeze, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, is the only Batman villain for me.
Yay.
The only one. I reject everybody else now, except maybe Michelle Pfeiffer.
Just imagine like during the screenings of The Batman, everyone in Australia hearing just the tudding in the back of the cinema from Dael going, nope, not happening. Not Riddler. Get out of here, Dano. Not happening. Not happening.
I'll tell you what, as well, I feel bad mocking him as well, a little bit, because I think you're right, Dale. He is struggling with the English. So again, I feel terrible making fun of him. But there's just something inherently comedic about a guy who's clearly reading some of these lines off a cue card. And he doesn't know what they say.
I think there's a thing as well that it constantly reminded me of. I have a very strange friendship with a guy. He's like one of my best friends.
Uh-huh.
This is a great story opener. I love this.
Called John. Yes, okay. Yeah.
But he's like a real slow talker mumbler. Mm-hmm. And when I one-on-one with this guy... Yeah, Steve.
That's hilarious.
It's basically every time he's talking to me, I don't think he understands what I'm saying, and I never understand what he's saying. But we always try to kind of like make these conversations happen.
Same.
Yeah. And the amount of times in this movie when Arnie would come out with stuff that was just unintelligible, and people will react as because they obviously know the script, so they're like, "Of course, Hercules" or whatever. It's like. Yeah. It felt to me as I felt I was watching someone watching me have a conversation with Steve, where it's like, "Are you sure you know what he's saying? Or are you just reacting to be like, yeah, okay, I get it, man."
Imagine if this had gotten the reaction that Marlon Brando would go on to get. Or Marlon Brando's like, "Of course I mumble the words. My character mumbles the words." And imagine if there was this like American like realism, like Kazan level directing that came out of this particular film, where they were just like, I don't know, man, that's how like, a god would, wander the earth and talk.
Exactly. Yeah. Who are you to say otherwise?
It could be like maybe Arnie himself is like, you're up there on Olympus. You're just doing whatever the hell you want. Could be this his version of Hercules is strung out on something. He's taken some like really crazy stuff, and he's just down on earth out of his mind, just like, hey, I don't even know what's happening,
what,
man.
Though? I think the strongest juxtaposition I can make to show that it isn't all Arnie that makes this movie the instant classic that it is you've got your scenes where he's in the carriage in Central Park and he's mumbling, and I have to literally look up a script to understand what he's saying. And even the script just doesn't write his line because clearly whoever was transcribing it didn't know what he said. That was a lot, right? But then also later in the film, and I think this is why I will defend Arnie to my dying breath, is you get this bit where Nemesis and Juno are talking and they're plotting their evil ploy. Mm-hmm. And at some point in that mix, Nemesis says, "But I could never consider doing such a thing. I could never undermine the of the gods."
Yep.
I completely picked up on that, and I was like, "What?"
I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, you didn't have a second take?
It's pretty rich for Arthur Allen Seidelman, the director of this film, to go like, I can't believe Arnie went on to go act. Because he directed this movie. He went on to go be nominated for an Emmy for an episode of Hill Street Blues, arguably one of the most famous shows of all time. So it's kind of a thing where I'm just like, this launched everybody. You don't have to be perfect.
Exactly.
I was actually surprised. I assumed he was like, oh, that guy never worked again. But it's like, no, he had like a very acclaimed stage career.
Murder, She Wrote, Knots Landing, Fame. Like,
no, but all of what you've just said makes sense to me, having seen this. I think that this feels like a television production. It doesn't feel like a motion picture.
No, TV's better than this.
I was very excited to see that, one, he directed the musical version of A Christmas Carol starring Kelsey Grammer and George Costanza, which I caught that one time. It's one of those things, it's like, it's filled to the brim of American actors pretending they're British, filming something in the scorching sun and pretending it's winter, and the songs are awful.
Are they in California and pretending it's London?
Oh yeah, and it's the very Kelsey Grammer. He's going for it. He's doing curmudgeonly old, like scrunched up face screws the whole time. But it's like as soon as Jason Alexander shows up as Jacob Marley, is like, no, I'm sorry, but no.
Can I just briefly say? I was just gonna say, Omar mentioned, it launched everyone's careers, and I just don't think that's a true statement. I think we got 1.5 names out of this.
You want to go through? Kingsmill, you want to go through this?
Page. I went to the IMDb page last night while watching the movie. I was like, I needed to know who Pluto was because I love him. He is my favorite.
You're talking about Michael Lipton?
He's my favorite pop cultural depiction of Pluto.
He
anyway, but you go to the IMDb page and it is a barren wasteland of photoless names. It is astounding.
That's as someone who has an IMDb Pro account and should cancel it, let me tell you, that's an IMDb problem because we're talking Michael Lipton here from network fame, from Invasion of the Space Preachers, the Treme classic. We're talking Windows.
I love you listing things we've never heard of.
It sounds impressive.
Let's keep.
Omar, I have no doubt that with the passion these actors had, that they were all in many, many things.
Deborah
that
Loomis,
is not the same as having a career.
That's a classic. Can we talk about how James Karen is in this? James Karen, who is a zombie film monarch, like himself. Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Return of the Living Dead 3. More brains. This dude is all over the place. Arnold Stang himself is one of the most famous cartoon cat voices of all time.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Top Cat. Top Cat
I'll
himself.
tell you what, though, that threw me off when I saw the credits. And I've seen this movie before, but I didn't. Yeah, I was drunk and watching it with Niall at like 3 a.m. But this time I was actually properly watching it, and I was like, Arnold Stang and Arnold Strong.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say.
And I like it, too, because it's like, AS and AS. It's like ass versus ass when you see their initials up.
Any wrestling fans out there will know this well, the Ass Boys.
Yeah, and it's like on the one hand kind of sad that they felt the need to change Arnold Schwarzenegger's surname to something like Strong, just to be like, yeah, we got to win over this American audience, got to lose that surname, we got to replace it with a descriptor. That's sad, but also, I mean, I hope that half of it was for the comedy of Stang and Strong.
Oh, that sounds like a duo. Stang and Strong.
Yeah, that's actually where they got the idea for twins.
Oh
wow.
Yes.
The concept, not the film.
Of course, twins co-starring Dan DeVito, who was in
Oh
his
my
own.
God, Mr. Limoncello himself.
Yeah,
Oh my
Limoncello,
God.
but of course Phil from Disney's Hercules, which in many ways does have some things in common with this movie. It's like a lot of Hercules things are like, just get him off Olympus and then he has to lose his powers at some point. Like,
I started wondering at one point whether Disney's Hercules just took all of its ideas from this. I mean, obviously it didn't, but I did wonder.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, nobody saw it. We can get away with it. And then like years later, they're like, oh boy. I think a lot more people are starting to latch on to this whole
Oh, they were going to pull
Hercules
like a
in New
Lion
York
King
thing.
where they were like, oh, we didn't realize.
Now I really, really, really want a new Disney to do a live action Hercules, but it's just this.
They just show it.
Yeah, just show this.
Photorealistic Hercules. It's an actual actor playing him in this.
Oh my God. This bit at the beginning that we talked about on Olympus, dare I call it Olympus? It's the weirdest depiction of Olympus I've ever seen, but okay. Zeus
It's a garden.
I was about to say the garden.
Zeus is kind of annoyed, his kid wants to go to Earth. He's gutted, he's getting a hassle from this kid. But at the same time, I'm thinking, and this applies to all of Greek mythology here, like, it's not just this movie. Zeus, if you don't want some little kid annoying you, why are you going around banging these mortal women?
I mean, come on now.
What, you want him to not do that? I mean,
That's Zeus's whole thing, isn't it? But it's like,
this is
stop
before-
doing it, Zeus. It causes all these problems.
I do have to ask though, Dael, because you're obviously a person very, very qualified to talk about these characters.
Yeah, hit me with it.
What do you think of the portrayal of Hercules and Zeus? Like in this, do you think this rings true to the classic myths, or is it like I don't recognize these characters at all?
I'm actually shocked to say that I feel like Zeus and Hercules come off actually pretty close personality-wise
I get that.
to the myths. I'm not gonna lie to you. And even Juno to some degree. It's really weird hopping between different mythological
Oh, that's
names.
another problem. Yeah.
I'm doing it because that's what it was in the movie. And I feel like that's the clearest choice. But also, man, I'm just sitting here like translating in my head before I say Hera. I'm like,
the entire
Hera,
movie, I
Roman.
was sat watching it going, that doesn't sound right. June, that's
No,
not
the whole
Greek.
thing is like, but even just too is like, oh, so yeah, the wife of Zeus would be Hera. That's where Heracles comes from, Hercules.
It very
And it's
much
like,
is.
now it's Juno this time. You're like, oh, okay. Whether they're like, I mean, maybe it's been a while. It's like, oh, there's a lot of behind the scenes trouble with Hera, and now he's hooked up with Juno. What do you want from me?
The same. I was confused. So I was questioning myself. I was like, I thought that was Roman. And then I was like, wait, maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, later on, Samson shows up. And you're like, Samson?
No, Seymour.
Samson really just like hit me. Like, you know that part in A Knight's Tale where they're testing the armor and they throw the battering ram at his chest?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was like when they said Samson and Atlas.
Wait a minute.
And then they cut to them showing up in the fight, and it's just a dude in a Samson costume, and you really have to wonder whether they just like looked at the costume at the wardrobe department. They were like, "Look, we've run out of togas.
This'll
Right.
do.
What do we have?
Is this close enough?" They're
I
like,
have to
"Yeah,
say,
yeah,
my favorite character, who goes unnamed and unappreciated,
Oh.
I think, in the background, is Zeus's lightning bolt caddy.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Some
I
kid-
have to assume Ganymede, right? Anyone? I have
yes.
to assume it's Ganymede.
I just thought he's some intern that Zeus hired. He's like, oh yeah, you kid, come over here. I'll pay you.
This little twink, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Greeks, they
Stolen
love
by
their
an
twinks.
eagle, yeah.
Oh, that actually is a question though, Dale. I was pretty sure you did videos on Hercules, but I was like, I better brush up before we record. And they don't seem to be on YouTube anymore. Are they gone, or did they just never happen?
They were housed on a channel that is not mine that may no longer have its videos public, but also refuses to relinquish control of the videos.
Are we talking about what I think we're talking about?
And we're talking about what you think we're talking about.
Ooh.
And I don't know whether I should like say it.
They
on a
can't sue
podcast,
you
but-
because technically they don't exist anymore, financially speaking.
I think we know what you mean, but if you want to say to the listeners, feel free. If you don't, that's
No. I feel like those who know, they know.
Would you say that?
We're all upset about it. That's the point, is that we're all upset about it. I'm going to have to just remake the videos.
Ugh.
Ah.
But now with the knowledge of this movie,
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
would absolutely love, Dale, if you just did a myth video that was just the story of Hercules in New York, but you just didn't let on. Like, you were just like describing it as like, oh, so then he fell down and he met Pretzie, and then they went off and they got a cab.
that happened in
to-
mythology, right? Pretzie's in there.
It started when Hercules was press ganged.
You just have all the sketches back, but it's just all sketches of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Top Cat together. And it's like, oh, this is, yeah, it makes itself.
That's actually
Well,
not bad, honestly.
it sounds
I'm actually really
amazing.
into that.
Although, Dael, you mentioned the caddy for the lightning bolts. Can we talk about the lightning bolts?
Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
which
please.
look as if they were like the railings from like a fence
Okay, but-
that they just bent into the shape of a
The
lightning bolt.
cheapest thing ever.
That said, as of the time of this recording, so I don't know in terms of release, but as of the time of this recording, the teaser trailer for Thor 4, Love and Thunder, has been released, and there is one shot of someone holding a lightning bolt, and it looks literally the same.
It's an homage to this.
Yep. I have to
Yes.
wonder. I mean, it's Taika. I have to wonder.
I would, because they was
a good point.
the Ragnarok and stuff was so heavily like, oh, you got like elements of like Lady Hawk and stuff like that in
Yes.
there. I would not be surprised at all if Taika Waititi is like, yeah, that's a nod to Hercules in New York.
I
Like,
could see him
he
doing
100%
that. He likes
would do
silly
that.
stuff. You know, he knows the broad spectrum of film and comedy and silly things, and he's also
find
very clever.
Image of this so I can put a link in the chat just so we can all Because I think that this is, every time we record an episode, especially like the one-offs, there's like a thing that pops out that changes our entire view of reality. I think that this is going to be ours for this episode because I am obsessed with that bolt, and I think that here we go. I put a link in.
Okay, let's see
for just an image from the trailer. This isn't the image I was thinking of, but it does show a lightning bolt. I think that is the same lightning bolt as Hercules in New York.
It's very cheap looking, and that's not a diss. That's not a diss. I want it to look cheap. It should look tacky.
I only watched the trailer for Love and Thunder once, and I clearly didn't pay attention to this shot. Are they about to do Greek-Roman mythology briefly in this movie?
Oh, do you know who's playing Greek and Roman mythology in this movie? Do you know the actor?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, this might actually be the takeaway.
Is it here where it says Russell Crowe's Zeus?
It could be anyone. Currently, it could be anyone's game. That's a hint. That's for sure.
I see it's in the title. I now look at the title and it says Russell Crowe's Zeus. So I feel like I'm gonna guess.
You're
Russell
off to
Crowe.
a pretty good start there, Dale.
See, I know
Russell Crowe starring as Greek and Roman mythology.
Yeah, that's the exact wording of it. That's a better. I just posted a better look of this lightning bolt, and I think it is a reference to Hercules in New York.
Let's see. That's very similar. It's just gold. That's the only difference.
Okay, at the moment you're just giving us links to photos of a lightning bolt that is shaped like a lightning bolt. I don't think that's necessarily a reference specifically to Hercules in New York. I was expecting a very specific frame of him holding it threateningly, right? And you're just giving me a guy holding something that is shaped like a lightning bolt. That's not surprising.
So you wanted some like wrought iron, like you get in this?
I did no. I wanted the actual image to look similar to Hercules in New York.
I am now fully expecting Thor 4 to feature Rhys Darby as Zeus's lightning bolt caddy, just wandering around behind him with a little golf ball thing full of lightning bolts.
That sounds
actually,
like the
though, Rhys Darby would be a great Zeus.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Okay, that's a very different take on Zeus.
We can recast.
Why not?
Y'all, I'm pulling up a screenshot right now for everybody, and I do love Lightning Caddy. Okay, you know what? I pulled up the screenshot. I'm gonna be the first one to say this. Very different looking lightning bolts.
Very different, like because it's silver and it's got an arrow on the end. Yeah.
After we spent this entire time, I just want to be the first one to say it. These are very different, and I don't think they're references.
I mean, it's not too late though to just tweet Taika and go like, "Would you consider putting this lightning bolt instead?" He's like, "We do have the." We should also mention too, of course, Thor 4 does contain Christian Bale, who of course Batman.
Yet another connection.
There you go.
There it is.
I'm only bringing it up because I know someone will be sitting listening to this and going, "They're not mentioned." And it's like, okay, there it is. Yeah.
Zeus throwing lightning bolts, though, I do think is unique to Hercules in New York. Am I wrong in that, Dale?
Why do you do these? Why do you bait me like this? Why?
Well, because he does that. He does that all the time, doesn't he? Well, not necessarily throw physical things, but he shoots lightning, doesn't he?
He shoots lightning, right?
Literally every time I've seen Zeus in a movie, he's thrown lightning, and I know that Omar knows that, but I have to answer the question anyway.
But like a lightning bolt, like an actual physical lightning bolt.
Yes, and you know that.
My God. My God. This is the takeaway of the episode.
That.
Wow.
Also, he throws the lightning bolt at Hercules, which
to dispel him from Mount Olympus, right?
Yeah. Actually, can we briefly talk about the fact I don't know what it is about the mythology of this universe, the mythology of the mythology, but I love that the gods, when they show up, seemingly have to arrive by some, semi-normal means. Even if it is on the wing of a plane, they're still coming down on a plane. Mm-hmm. Mercury arrives in a helicopter. Yeah. Pluto comes through the subway, and causes a blackout in New York, which, of course, as famously, never gone badly. But then when they leave, they just disappear. They just vanish in very inhuman, godly ways. And I just don't understand.
Mercury comes down in a helicopter and then flies away. Yeah. It's like, why didn't you fly down?
100%.
What was the point of the helicopter?
I love that entrance. And then just the non-committal. He's like, yeah, anyway, that's going to take 17 minutes for this thing to come pick me up. I'm good. No.
Yeah, he had enough at that point. He's like, right, I've been here too long. Screw you guys. I'm out of here. But we get one of my favorite lines when he dispels, as you said, Hercules, and you see him, he falls to earth, he goes past the plane. For some reason, that woman's given an oxygen mask. No idea why, but okay. But then, he gets picked up by a ship because he hits the water. And they decide to...
Should also mention, too, I got real flashes of a Batman villain kin. Of Arnie's face at that plane window. It's like, those real liar vibes. It's like Jim Carrey, the Riddler himself, will be doing the same shtick.
I can see it.
Like a mere, 20 years later or whatever.
Jim ripped him off. Noted hack Jim Carrey.
Yeah, he's just like, I love Hercules in New York so much. Yeah. I just had to throw in a little. I also do. Someone's bound to have done it. In all the years the internet's been like slinging out memes, but someone's got to put Shatner in the seat looking out the window and Arnie's face peering in.
We'll get that done before this comes out.
There's a Greek god on the wing. I mean, how else would you describe Arnold? He looks like a god at the best of times.
I'd be genuinely, in terms of physical casting, I get it. It's like, oh yeah, that guy, he looks great.
He looks amazing.
And then as soon as he started delivering any lines, they should have been like, okay, we're in trouble.
Well, that's why they dubbed him.
That's just sad though. That makes it worse somehow, because it's not like the script is good.
No, every line.
Well, it was even
terrible.
more troubling for me because I was streaming it through Amazon, and I was like, okay, because I have subtitles on for everything now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very troubled when there are no subtitles, but I was like, oh, definitely going to need them for this. And then just to see like the no subtitles available.
I did the same thing. I mean, okay, talking about his physicality, I think one of, definitely not my absolute favorite scene in the film, but up there for me is actually the bit where he sees the movie poster of Hercules, and he just pulls off his shirt and he starts flexing. He's like, "Can he be Hercules, huh?" And I was like, "This is actually a genuinely good performance right now. Like that is the glimmer of like what is to come with Arnie."
This entire film, which does in some ways I think fit with Hercules, is an excuse for Arnold to take his shirt off.
Yeah,
over and over and over and over again.
He does it. Yeah, at the drop of a hat, that guy will rip that shirt off. And then he does and I don't think I've seen him do it, and he probably does it in Pumping Iron, but like he does the little peck bounce thing.
Yeah.
And
while he's still wearing his press gang beanie.
Yeah. And it kind of made me think of like, I wish like they'd work that into Batman and Robin somehow, because it was so famous for the bat nipples.
Mm-hmm. He's wearing a metal suit.
No, but maybe not. But maybe Batman does it with the rubber suit one time, and then you see, Mr. Freeze somehow does. You just hear.
You want a peck off?
Peck off. That would be beautiful in that movie. It's already so intensely homoerotically charged.
Right.
Add in a peck contest between those two guys. Beautiful.
I mean, the people are paying to see it. Let's get it on.
Yeah.
Let's do it nowadays. Come on, let's go.
I mean, people paid to see this. Not many, but I'm sure
someone paid to own this because the rights were actually auctioned off on eBay, I believe, for like $55,000 or something.
Wow. Hey, you know what? Even if it's terrible, and I love it, right? It's terrible, but I love it. I don't care. It's Arnold's first movie. If I had the money, I would buy it.
I'm kind of surprised because Arnie, he apparently is like ashamed of this film.
Oh, that sucks.
That's probably because people make him feel ashamed.
That's it.
It's weird because we talked about throughout the main season, like Arnie is so lovable in his day-to-day life because he doesn't own the Mr. Freeze suit. He rents the Mr. Freeze suit and keeps it at his house. And he shows it to people very proudly. He always quotes his lines to guests when they come around the house. Like, he loves being Arnold Schwarzenegger. And, like the fact that George Clooney is, like, constantly rips into Batman and Robin, goes on to make sure that he knows it's a bad movie and stuff. But Arnie's just like, oh, I had the suit, come and see it. It's great. But the fact that he thinks that this is that bad, that Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, I don't want to talk about it.
Let me throw this out there really quickly as we're trying to crack this little mystery. He was 22. Is there anything any of us did at 22 that we're like was completely standard, but we're like, I don't really want to revisit that?
Everything. Every single thing.
Is it a thing where like, because we'll just have to crack it to him and be like, it's not bad, man. Like, your work slaps. It's just you were 22 years old.
Well, I said this off mic, before we started recording, and in fact, before Dael rejoined us. Tech problems. But I think there's a kernel of a good movie here.
I think the central concept.
I think
is
certainly
fine.
there's a kernel of a movie that could have been solid. You know, I don't think it ever was going to be like a masterpiece. I don't think it was ever going to be great. But,
No, but like a fun film.
yeah, exactly. Like a turn your brain off film that, which I suppose it is still.
No brain involved.
But so we have that. He lands in the ocean.
Yeah.
He gets put up onto like a steamliner.
And that captain's first mate is his best friend because he justifies everything.
Everything. Did anyone else catch themselves thinking that he was gonna be like some go-between for the gods on Earth?
A little bit.
I literally thought that he was going to turn out to be someone who's like, I know that you're from Olympus and let me help you. And then it was not the case. Or at least we never found out that it was the case.
I was most distracted with when they name him Hercules Zeus. Well, not only do they not know any mythology, because every single person on Earth knows those two names, but okay. But it just made me think of Solo all over again.
I was about to say that, actually.
Oh, for some of you're saying, I was thinking of the Mario movie, where it's like, I'm Mario. This is my brother, Luigi Mario. Like, what?
Well, to be fair, even as a kid, I questioned that. I had a T-shirt with it on, and I was like, why are they the Mario brothers?
Oh. I mean, it is actually, unless it's the last name, it is a bit like, this Mario. Well, why does he get the beat? Why can't we be the Luigi brothers? What the hell is this?
I was always a bigger fan of Luigi because my favorite color's green. So I was like, I'm not going to be Mario. Screw Mario.
Oh, Mario's always the last guy you choose. And then like in a Mario Kart scenario, it's like, I'm not going to play Mario.
Well, in a Mario
like
Kart scenario, I'm Dry Bones.
That's Waluigi for me all the way, baby.
Bowser.
Oh.
Bowser Driver.
Mm-hmm.
Omar, what are you? I'm going with like maybe like a Yoshi.
Ooh, let's get one more
I think
guess
you're
in.
Toad. I think you're Toad.
Fascinating. Any other guesses?
I'm thinking.
I will say
Birdo.
Toad he is the fastest, but he is like, if you hit the slightest thing, he will skid off into oblivion.
What's your preference?
I go between Donkey Kong,
Oh.
Yoshi, and Toad.
Oh, so we get 2 out of 3. Okay.
Yeah.
There
Not
you
incorrect.
go.
Good job,
There you
everyone.
go.
This is me clapping.
Yeah.
Woo.
Okay. Is Donkey Kong your primary? You know how you always have to have a primary choice and then like your secondary for if
Donkey
someone
Kong's
would
my
get
primary.
first?
I know he's a little bit
Okay.
slower on the uptake, but that boy can shoulder check. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Plus, I like he has a pretty sharp looking tie.
He's got a
too.
great
I was
little
like,
driving tie. You always need a driving tie. Dale knows this. We've driven around the States quite a bit.
Yeah,
Always
yeah,
bring
yeah,
my
yeah.
driving tie.
So now
Yeah,
all
every
I
time.
want in life is a Greek mythology kart racer.
Can I just say, I'm pretty sure that when Omar was a kid, he thought that his sibling had been possessed by Mario.
I didn't think that
am I remembering that right?
that is not correct. That is why would you spread these falsehoods? I thought that Mario had switched bodies with my youngest or with my middle sibling, and that because why wouldn't Mario want to get out of the game? And I was terrified because I asked them, I was like, "Hey, did you switch bodies with Mario?" And he was like, "No," and I was just like, "That's something Mario would say, though."
Oh.
He'd be like, "It's a not a me."
Oh, Mamma Mia, why are you saying these
He did speak with Chris Pratt's voice, and that was a harbinger of things to come.
No. Oh,
I seen that thing. Apparently there's a delay in the Mario movie. I'm like, I wonder if they're like, is there any way can we just recast this?
I mean, you can
Like,
ADR anything we learned from this movie because there are cuts where you don't hear Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice the entire time.
And
even
there's
in the
literally a
correct
bit
one.
at the very end of the movie where they just keep in the dub.
Oh,
Well,
that is insane.
We'll get to that.
We've
The
only
bit you
gotten to the
mentioned-
ship. We
He's
haven't
on
even
the
gotten
ship.
to New York yet.
Yeah, we'll blitz through it as fast as we want. So he's on the ship, the solo thing, and the bit I loved is he gets in a disagreement. Yeah, he beats up the whole ship.
Yes.
And the captain's kind of like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Looking out that porthole and seeing the fight, I literally thought that was just Hercules trying to do sailor things. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's helping out on the ship, I guess. And then they went outside and it was a fight. And I was like, I guess that makes sense. But
It makes
also,
sense, yeah. But he comes out with another one of my favorite lines, where the captain's kind of like, I can't remember the exact words, but he's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And he goes, "He is most disagreeable, and he has irritated me." Which is now, I'm just going to quote that every day.
Yeah. I mean, it applies to so many situations, to be honest.
So correct.
One thing that's very firmly established on the boat and will continue throughout the rest of the movie is his constant need to tell people who he is.
I am Hercules.
Like, it's within the same scene, he'll introduce himself about 5 times. Like, literally, people will say something to him, and he'll just be in the background like, I am Hercules. Like, it was...
And he not only can he not say Hercules, he can't say Zeus. Did you notice every single time it was like Zeus, Zeus?
It did make me want to attempt to do. If you guys aren't aware, the beginning of our first season used to begin with a little soundbite of us going like, "What are you? We're Batman at 89." Mm-hmm. And I kind of wanted to see if it would be possible to do like, "What are you? I am Hercules."
The intro to this episode now. F it, we're doing it.
Yeah.
If we could get all 4 of us to say, I am Hercules at the same time, that would be magical.
We're going to do that at the end.
Zeus Hercules.
But after this little fight, that's when he meets the star of the movie in my eyes, Pretzie.
Yeah. For a second, I thought it was Dana Carvey in Master of Disguise as that turtle.
Oh, yeah.
But, no, it's actually, actually a great actor. Arnold Stang, who was... I genuinely was a massive, massive Top Cat fan when I was a kid.
That checks out.
Well, you look like Top Cat.
It was one of those weird things, too. Like, it used to be on in the mornings, and it would be like Sergeant Bilko, the Phil Silver Show, followed by Top Cat. And when you're a kid, you don't realize, but you're kind of sitting there going, these shows are like very samey.
Yeah.
Until years later, you're like,
oh, literally.
It's exactly the same
they just
show.
cloned it over. Dale, I would say
and I
that
just see Arnold Stang. It's like, oh, he looks like a kind of slightly melted version of Phil Silver.
It makes
it's
total
like, it's
sense.
crazy.
It honestly makes total sense.
And he is one of the only actors in this movie trying. And he's trying his heart out. He's really giving it his all.
He's in it to win
gives
it.
Yeah. He gives it.
He's emotional.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, though, he's so good and so likable. Mm-hmm. By the end, it's kind of tragic. You feel so bad. It's like, why isn't Pretzie getting like... Why isn't he going to Olympus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And getting...
He deserves to be a god.
Yeah.
That's not really how it works, but okay.
You have to... I've seen the Thor movies. You get worthy, you get a hammer, you're a god.
Yeah.
I missed the beginning of all
I
those
was
films.
in tears because I don't care about We're Jumping Forward. Who gives it now? Because, he... Basically, Herc's gone home.
Yep.
Pretzie's there alone.
Alone.
And
we
he's
get
listening...
that soliloquy.
Yeah, he's listening to the radio. He can hear Herc's voice. It's so sad. He's gone back to his pathetic life.
So, I mean, asterisk next to Herc's voice, but okay.
Well, some guy's voice pretending to be Herc. And Pretzie, it made me think, like, you could read this entire movie, not just the end sequence, but the entire movie, as Pretzie has lost his mind.
I mean, if you were watching it without knowing the whole dubbing thing of like, oh yeah, they dubbed Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice and then, they just did like, and like the, original cut, Arnie, I guess, never recorded that audio. So
yeah.
There is no audio of him saying those lines. So they have the dub guy come on the radio. If you didn't know that watching the movie, you'd be like, oh, Pretzie has gone insane. Yeah. That's just some random radio broadcast, and he's like, Herc, is it you, Herc? It's like...
I think it's the other direction. I think that they were doing the radio scene, and they were like, okay, look, with the radio distortion, we will absolutely not be able to understand a single thing that Arnold says. We're going to have to get someone else to do these lines. And then they did that, and they went, wait a minute. You ever see Singing in the Rain?
You know what? You're probably right, because I could barely even understand this guy.
The thing is, I tried to find the guy
uncredited
who they got to dub him.
Uncredited.
Cannot trace him. But that guy must be like, hopefully he's still alive. But that guy must have been going around for years going like, I dubbed the current biggest star in the world. Sure you did.
For an entire film.
He'd be going up to people going like, yes, I am Hercules. Don't you recognize my voice? Like,
well, another one of my favorite bits actually happens after he meets Pretzie. We get, they're in the cab together.
Yes.
And it's the whole sequence where Pretzie's like, oh, yeah, I know Apollo.
Yeah.
I know
He's
it's
also,
strong.
I mean, bonus points for also being basically the only person in the movie who has lines and, like, knows them.
Yeah.
He says a lot. He talks a lot and he nails it. And it just brings me joy. During that moment, though, John, I will call attention to the part where he says that Apollo was always wanting to get married. Maybe that's why he went home. And Herc goes, Diana and I don't know, one of the muses, I think it was Terpsichore, are both in love with him. Why pick Diana? Pick literally any other goddess name.
I think they just picked
one.
any they could remember. Off of,
Oh, nightmare.
I think that one of them's called Diana, right? Write that down.
I mean, they were going to try to look up all this stuff by watching your videos on YouTube, Dale, but they're not there anymore, so they couldn't do the research.
By a company we can't mention.
That company ruined this movie. How dare they?
So all complaints about Hercules in New York, forward them to Felicia Day, and then see what she says.
Ixnay.
Oh,
Send them to Legendary Digital.
To be honest, this whole cab sequence I love. Giving Arnold the pretzels. He's Austrian. He'll appreciate it. But then when
him eating dry pretzels, though, to me was very like, I can't imagine. I don't know. I think I'll be overwhelmed. Like, I think maybe it's so transfixed in my mind from Seinfeld, though.
Oh, but yeah,
but
in
like,
Seinfeld,
you're gonna be thirsty after that.
In Seinfeld, aren't they those like American snack pretzels? Yeah, these are proper like German, Austrian, proper real pretzels. You can just eat these.
Kind of. I gotta say though, what a coincidence to the point where I think it's a plot point. I think there's another story going on within this story. I think there's a macro story, or a meta story.
I'm so ready.
Because Arnold goes, Hercules says, "Food for the gods," and Pretzie for a second goes, "Yeah, that's where I got it." And I wanted like some Matrix code or something to load for just 1 second, and for them to like reboot and sort of like a reverse noise, like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, that would be good. I especially love that because in my mind, all I was thinking was, Pretzie's just making stuff up. Like, oh yeah, that's what the shop's called. Yeah. I like your idea even more.
It's everything about. You have to wonder, like, what he doesn't have any other friends. No. He's out there on the docks selling pretzels. God knows how much he makes a week. Yeah. Trying to do
$3.
And it's everything about him. I imagine, he is he'll say anything to get people to like him. Like he's just like, please. Like, oh yeah, but I'll be your butt. You want to shine your shoes for you? Like he seems so desperate for a friend.
Right.
But the thing is, it's just because the inherent likability of Arnold Stang is like, I want a sequel of Pretzie and the radio.
Right.
Oh. Just going around, palling around New York. And that's him and Hercules are together again, but Hercules' voice coming through the radio the whole time.
And then can we get a prequel series on Disney Plus about Pretzie's origins?
But it's got that prequel thing like, well, the tragic end. It's already foretold. It's like...
But this whole cab thing as well, I absolutely love it when Herc, he can't pay for the cab.
No.
And the cab driver, he attacks him physically. And I'm just sitting here thinking, are you an idiot? This guy's a tank. Don't try and beat him up.
This is a mistake that people consistently make throughout this film. I think that this movie, and I might be wrong, but I think this movie is really ultimately about toxic masculinity. Because Zeus the entire time is like, why are these things happening? I'm all powerful. No, you're not. We exist in a community. No man is an island, to quote Bon Jovi. And then also the film about a boy that is quoting Bon Jovi.
Classic.
And it's just like he's constantly like, but I didn't allow this. I didn't do this. You don't have power. Yeah, the world is actually run by the women around you. You need to clock that, first of all, Zeus.
And you're one of many gods, Zeus.
You're one of, exactly. No god is an island, to quote God Bon Jovi. And also the film about a god boy that was quoting God Bon Jovi. And
that would be a great title for this movie, would be about a god boy.
And I think that all the men in this film are also the same way. They're just like, oh, Buster, you better watch out. It's like you've been taught that there's only one way to deal with conflict, and that's never been de-escalation. And you just see all the like the cab driver being like, I'm gonna sock you in the face. No, you're not going to. Like you just
Hercules.
Look.
I mean, that does track because like literally everything, those gangsters try to resolve everything through violence, doesn't work out for them. And then when Hercules has his strength taken away from him, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's actually
de-escalate.
I think you.
Granted, the lesson that's learned is they just send other gods, but we can get to that later.
and you can still like wrestle people even if you're only human strong.
Also, it's like you're only human strong. It's like, yeah, but you're still stronger than the other humans.
Yeah, he's still got an incredible body.
This isn't like that
He's
Sonic
still
episode
the
where
second
he's
strongest man in New York.
Yeah. Pretty impressive. Although
we slowed down to
strength,
Flash. All right, you're the fastest runner still, Flash. Like you're not.
Mentioning strength, after the camp bit, that's God. Every scene in this is gold. We get the whole section where he spots those college athletes.
Yes.
And he just wants to own them at the discus.
Yeah, specifically discus.
Well, I mean, again, though, toxic masculinity, though, he just instantly sees, like,
Competitive.
these guys doing a thing, I have to beat.
I must best them. Yeah.
Yeah. And though I believe one of the few videos of yours I found, Dale, that mentions Hercules, did mention the origin of the Olympic Games, which was pretty much just Hercules been like, look at all this stuff I can do.
Literally this scene. Yeah, it's just him stomping around the field and going, I've invented the Olympics!
Well,
So, I mean, like, maybe this could have, like, he's trying to do it again. He's like, Olympic stew, electric boogaloo, coming to New York.
If I can briefly have an aside, I would like to shame one of those athletics shots
Yes.
where they're doing the long jump.
Oh, just one of them.
I mean, all bad. I mean, actually, you know what? While we're here, the javelin throw where the college kid throws the javelin, and we literally just aren't shown the javelin, and everyone just goes, yes! It's like, okay, I guess you did a
No
good.
frame of reference.
No.
Completely
I
disrupts
threw it.
narratology.
He probably threw it, and it was absolutely awful. But they were like, "Right, we haven't got time for a second take."
I mean, there are moments like that that really reveal the budget of this flick. But there's the kid who does the long jump, and he just runs into the middle of the sandy circle and then jumps and lands. Yeah. There's no marker of where to jump from. He doesn't jump from the edge. He literally just does a jump, and that is the most like infant school playground thing.
And am I wrong in saying that he's the anchor of the team? The coach is just like, hey, man, you're our best guy.
Yeah,
you're our number one guy. Can you do this? And he's like, coach, if I can't do this, it would have to be literally a god.
Oh, well.
This is where the meme comes in, though, because Herc strips off the shirt, as you do, keeps on his little Benny hat, and then he starts running, and it's just that kind of ridiculous shot of insanely buff Arnie, just with a completely still face, booting down a track.
They cut to the college boys, and all of them are looking like mean and tough, like, oh, we'll show him, except for one guy up the front, who I think is the main dude later on, who was dating Helen, and he's just there, like nodding appreciatively.
Just like the guy at the end of Purple Rain.
Also, when he throws the discus, I'm no athlete. Look at me, people. But is this the right
seem
form?
Like proper technique, yeah.
No, it's not right.
I used to do discus.
Oh,
I can actually address this. And I don't know if
I can't believe I'm saying this, but nothing that I could hear about you could surprise me less. This is something I actually don't know, but I'm so not surprised.
This is perfect.
If this story isn't you saying, Omar, you were like full on going to be on the Olympic discus team until some random Austrian dude came up and just spoiled it and was way better than you, and you're like, what's the point? And you just like threw all your discus dreams away?
Me and my uni bros, we used to warm up in Central Park, New York, in the beating heart of Manhattan, in the city that never sleeps.
Of course.
And we had such bright futures until a god showed up and then just threw it with bad form. And then it just kind of flew towards the grass near a pillar. And let me say this really quickly. Definitely, I don't. Considering it's a pillar, you're not supposed to throw to a place where people could be. That's like the huge element. Like let's say form varies from region to region. Personally, I thought it was if I remember correctly, like in order to properly count your throw, you have to have the spin.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Because I also did shot put, and I believe that was the thing where like you have to, because the whole thing is you spin and you stop at the exact spot, and that's how like a part of the grading.
Yeah, I've seen discus people spin. I've seen hammer throw spin. Everyone seems to spin.
he just chucks it, and then it goes to this place, and I was just like, I see people in shot, man. Like, I think that's legitimately not allowed.
Yeah.
But
although I will say a slight is in mentioning like hammer throwing and stuff. My favorite thing in watching any of those events is the like the giant roar. Like about disappointed we didn't get the origin of the Arnie.
Yeah.
So it was the perfect time to put it
Niall
into
is a
that discus
god.
throw.
He doesn't even need to try.
That's a good
I have to
point.
say that we did have that whole discussion about Thor 4. This is essentially the plotline of Thor 1, though.
yes,
Like,
Except that he chose to go to Earth.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
but I do feel, though, that Kenneth Branagh was sitting around is like, Disney got away with it. Maybe I can just... it's like, I never read a Marvel comic in my life, but I have seen Hercules in New York.
You
So.
just swap out Odin being like, nope, you gotta stay there. You gotta stay on Earth with Zeus going, please come back. Please. This is so the worst.
Well, after all these athletics as well, we get, a professor sees him and wants to kind of have a word with him. And then I was very disturbed because I don't like, when he goes to meet the professor, I don't like this Arnold with this body in a suit.
I agree.
Mm.
I agree.
He doesn't look like it doesn't look like a suit should be made that size. Like it just seems like this is it's specially tailored.
It's even worse than when
like,
I see like a wrestler like Triple H in a suit. This is even worse.
That's when the tie's done up and it's like, there's no way that's comfortable. Like you're just too tightly bound into the
It's
suit.
gonna rip
Like,
at any moment.
is it just let the pecs fly, man? No one cares about you looking smart in this. It's just let them out. Just
And he's got his hair nicely combed,
Yeah, just give everyone tickets to the gun show and just let us all bask in it. But,
I also, does anyone else get really sinister vibes from the professor and his daughter?
Oh, 100%.
They're just
I just wasn't. But she already is engaged to a guy, right? So why does the professor want to meet with Hercules?
I don't know. It all just seems very schemy and villainy. It feels like there's some other thing at play. It's like, I want access to his strength and I will siphon it out of his body and become I don't know. Like he's got some supervillain plan and he's using her to achieve it. That's what they feel like every time they're having a scene alone together.
But it's never revealed.
No,
It feels like this in another movie. This would be like a Fairy Odd Parent situation where he's like, I'm convinced that guy is a god, and I'm going to prove it by manipulating my daughter into dating him or whatever. But it's just like this guy seems to just want to know him because he's like, that guy threw that discus really well.
Pretty cool.
He probably decapitated somebody when zip past all those people.
Tell you
and
what,
stuff.
though,
But,
Hercules is horny for the daughter.
oh yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
And
I mean, I think that's a little bit of natural Arnie. coming out,
that's what I thought
That's
of him
just
in
really-
Pumping Iron, when he's very flirtatious.
Yeah.
This might be one for you, Niall. Throughout the entire film, I thought her acting, she spoke exactly like Heather Graham in Twin Peaks.
Oh.
That's very specific.
I think she was among my least favorite actors in the film. I don't know
I
whether
get
that's
it.
the same as being the worst actors in the film, but my least favorite, certainly. She and the muses and the bunch of female goddesses who just kept being like, save him! Save him, mighty Zeus! And every time it was like getting stabbed in my ear holes, and I just hate, at least Arnie is just a drone, but these, I
And
want to
especially because female goddesses, they're very powerful characters normally.
Oh my god!
And in this, they're just like, oh, Zeus.
I thought it took me about 45 minutes in until I realized they were supposed to be goddesses. I thought they were just like Zeus's like harem or something. He had like.
Oh my gosh. It's just, I want to support the sisterhood of actresses. I really do. But I mean, they were causing me physical pain.
Hey, they're trying their best. They're doing what they're given.
My only thing with Helen is that she was just very unmemorable to me. And it was just because if you want to see Arnie hook up with anybody, you want it to be Pretzie. So you're like, I don't, she's just getting in the way of
the bromance.
Arnie and Pretzie.
They have such a deep love.
Yeah, I would much rather just be that Arnie's just like, I don't need female companionship. I'm content with my bespectacled friend right
It's
here.
very
It's like,
Greek.
It actually is extremely Hercules. Yeah, I don't know. And the other thing, I feel like she maybe didn't understand a lot of her lines, was a vibe I got multiple times. So, I mean, in some ways it was a good match for Arnie, but in others, I really needed her to be doing more of the heavy lifting.
She's the one strong foundation you needed, basically.
I mean, I should say the actress is Deborah Loomis, which is great horror name.
Yeah.
The Loomis.
As of recording, this is going to mean nothing to 99% of the audience. As of recording, earlier today, the World Wrestling Federation, it's not called that anymore, World Wrestling Entertainment released the wrestler Dexter Loomis from his contract. And he is named after the horror character.
Oh, there you go. But she's only really appeared in one other thing, and it was actually Dark Shadows, the TV show, which would go on to be adapted by Tim Burton into a...
My God.
I was going to say hit feature film, but a feature film.
Is this controversial? Right? I don't love it, but I thought Tim Burton's movie was fine. It was
the Dark Shadows film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. I had a good time. Yeah. I wasn't bored.
But also should say, John, you're talking about Heather Graham in Twin Peaks. One of the things that the director went on to do that caught my eye was he made a TV movie version of Macbeth, starring Piper Laurie as Lady Macbeth. I was like, that's incredible casting. Freaking Carrie's mum, freaking Catherine Martell,
the Scottish play
as Lady Macbeth. And guess who else was in it, John? I got very excited.
Ooh.
Simon McCorkindale, Manimal himself.
What a
played
name.
Macduff.
I mean, I think we've teased doing a Manimal podcast a few times.
I mean, I looked into it, John. There's only 8 episodes.
There you go, Manimal podcast.
That's a run. That's a whole run.
That's a very doable podcast project right there.
Very doable. Very much so. This bit with the professor and the daughter, though, something really got to me. The way Arnold and the, what did you call him now? The fiance, let's say. I don't know his name. I don't give a damn about any of them.
The athlete?
John something?
They just have a fight over her honor.
Yeah.
That is the most absurd thing I've ever seen. Not
You
just like a
apologize, sir.
little
Yeah.
bit of an argument. It's a full-on physical brawl.
I think at one point they mentioned that he cracks 2
He breaks
ribs.
his
Yeah.
ribs.
And that's like, the next scene, he's just there like, oh yeah, we had that fight. It's like, we saw what happens when someone hits somebody in public for a massive point of controversy recently.
Whoa.
And people are calling for arrests to be made. There's no way that he wouldn't get arrested. You broke somebody's ribs.
Rod
you are
Nelson.
going to jail.
Rod Nelson is his name, and I should have remembered that because of the bit where Hercules is like, I'm Hercules, and he's like, you're not Hercules, stop calling yourself Hercules. And he's like, I'm Hercules, son of Zeus. And he goes, and I'm Rod Nelson. And he says it as though he's like naming a famous person. He's saying it as though it's like, yeah, and I'm the queen, but it is just his name. So it's like, okay.
Well, that's because in this entire movie, everyone just accepts that his name's Hercules. Nobody goes, oh, like the god.
Well, it is. I mean, it is. To be fair, it is to this day still a name in Greece.
It's not a
much like
particularly
Apollo.
common name in Greece, though.
It's not uncommon.
It does have one of my that fight begins with one of my favorite lines of Rod, strikes the first blow, and Hercules says, "You struck Hercules."
You struck Hercules.
And again, it's another like. Do we have enough film for another take? Nope. Okay.
Okay.
That's it. That's the one we're going with.
They never did second takes.
A lot of this they filmed a lot of this without permission. And I think it's amazing. The chariot chase that we'll get to a little bit. That's they didn't ask New York if they could do that. They just did
That's
it.
because they clearly didn't have the money for a permit. They absolutely did not.
If you told me this movie was made for $50, I'd believe you.
It's in that era of New York, though, when it's like the taxi driver, you know, this is a cesspool of corruption.
So that's what you're saying
whatnot.
is watch Taxi Driver, then watch this. Okay.
I would like at the end chariot scene, he's speeding down the road in the chariot, and just Travis Bickle's just driving past on the other side of the road, just looking around, just like all the freaks come out at night, or in this case, the daytime.
Oh my god. Oh, but
I'm just thinking about the Tarzan guy running up at the end of the chariot scene, running around looking for them. Where did he go? He took my chariot. And then you've got the hot dog vendor guy just ducking around trying to get the onions on. That is the greatest thing I have ever seen.
And then just a close up. It cuts the close up.
I think that was the realization, because I didn't know, was why is this guy falling? What the hell is he doing? And then when he put on the onions, I was like, oh, that's funny. That's actually a funny bit.
It's genuinely a funny joke.
Yeah. Although I'm still confused. It's like, so this guy is like a strong man, Tarzan. Why is he driving a chariot?
I don't know.
And what's
the stick?
And what does a strong man on a chariot, which already makes no sense, have to do with hot dogs?
Yeah. Because he was clearly buying a hot dog when Hercules stole the chariot, right?
But why is he wearing it? What's going on here?
It's,
Yep.
Are
We
there
got
any
it.
casinos in New York?
We got what?
I mean, maybe Tarzan just got back from, the jungle.
Yeah.
And-
They could have doubled up. They could have just dressed him as Samson. At least the chariot connection is almost
There you go.
believable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel he probably was supposed to be like, oh, he's a guy dressed up as Hercules. That's the joke. And then, we don't have any more. We told you, we don't have any more togas. We use them all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Hercules never wore that.
I would agree.
Next time, Pretzie and Arnie and bears? Oh my. A grapple between gangsters and gods leaves us agog as we complete our Herculean conversation in the conclusion of this pod. There's more blasts of bazooki and a Dunsley deity getting roofied. So tune in next time for more tantalizing talk regarding the tale of Hercules in New York.
We'll be back.
back.